Hi, Kerry. How are
How are
you?
you? I'm good,
I'm
thanks.
well. Good, good. Thank you for getting on. I'm sorry about I don't know what the technical hitches were, but it's really good to have you join me.
Thank you. Yeah, I don't have a Kate in my office on my side. I'm trying to work it all out myself.
Oh, no, you did well. You did really well. So, for
Uh,
those of us who are joining us for a second time, I just want to say thank you because
yes,
we needed to end the previous one. So, it's really great. And yeah, so Kerry, thank you for joining us this afternoon. If you hear a couple of rumbles behind me, we're in the Western Cape and we're getting rain by the sounds of things today. So, it's really
us as
interesting.
well. So you can hear my
Ah,
well, yeah.
great. Well, thankfully, our load shedding is not happening at the moment. So hopefully this will be all good. So guys, thank you for joining us. I'm Phillipa Geard. For those of you who don't know, I'm the founder and CEO of Recruit My Mom. And this month, Recruit My Mom is running a series of these videos where we just want you to look at the value of women. You know, Recruit My Mom is very much about showcasing the value of women to employers. And so today we are talking to Kerry. And Kerry is the wife, mom, founder, and a strategic creative pioneer with a knack for helping women live in their full potential. I love that. Kerry is the founder and owner of YOUnique Life, spelled YOU, and a digital home for online courses, free content, growth, and most importantly for us women, community. Kerry, it's really lovely to have you with us and join us today.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. It's awesome to chat and connect.
It's an absolute pleasure. Kerry, let's start off. I just want to kind of just kick off with what value do you see that women bring into the world of work?
Well, this is such a beautiful question. And I think women bring such a beautiful perspective and a creativity and an understanding that men don't bring. And it's not that we're in competition with them. I'm definitely not like pro woman lib. But what we do is when we bring our perspective and when we bring our creativity and we feel confident in ourselves to do it and we feel value enough to voice our thought processes, to voice our opinion, it creates such a beautiful round sound within business. And when I mean round sound, I mean that together with men and women, when we use our strengths and we bring in our uniqueness, our business gets to grow a lot bigger. We get to have different aspects. We think about things differently. And women really just bring in a nurturing, beautiful perspective in business. And then also tenacity. I mean, I don't mean to be rude, but us women know how to persevere. And there's this element of tenacity and creativity and perseverance that comes in when we as women value ourselves and confidently step out in that. It definitely leaks through in the workplace.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I couldn't agree with you more. And I think that the word that you keep using is uniqueness.
Mm.
And it's that recognition of the unique values that women bring and the benefits that they can bring. And I think that really does speak to diversity, doesn't it? And that's why diversity in all organizations is so powerful and profitable at the end of the day.
Very, yes. And I think just getting to the point where we embrace each other's uniqueness and it just even in between different women, to recognize the things that other ladies carry and be confident that it doesn't undermine me, or it doesn't, just because somebody else is good at it doesn't mean that I'm not good at something, or I'm not good enough. And when we embrace stuff like that, the beauty of creativity that comes out of organizations, the workload that is produced is really a beautiful thing when that diversity connects and we celebrate the difference and the uniqueness of one another.
Yeah, I love that. I think that if we as women could really harness the power of the potential of our unique contributions and not be in competition with one another, we would get so much further.
Yes.
And also make so much more impact in our spheres of influence. And I love that we get to connect in communities like we are on Instagram with other women that do what we do as women entrepreneurs. So
Yes.
Kerry, your kind of passion is self-worth, and you
Yes.
talk a lot about self-worth. So how does self-worth connect with passion, and how can one express that in the workplace?
Well, I think, well, first of all, when we've got to look at what is self-worth, why is it important as women? And I think when we are operating in a self-worth that is intrinsic to me, not what the world says I should carry, because there's a very big difference. And I think, especially in psychology and self-help, there are ideas of what self-worth is, and we try and put that on, and it doesn't really work. We've got to come to a place where we work out what do I love about myself? What are the elements that I'm good at? What makes me light up a room when I walk in? Or what makes me so excited when I get to do it? Those are the elements that we have to do as individuals, as women by ourselves, and we've got to kind of work out who we are before we can step into this realm of self-worth, because then we value what we carry. And when you value what you carry, you don't operate in a sense of kind of ego or trying to push yourself or trying to kind of self-promote. You operate out of a place of security, because you just know what you bring into the room, and you're happy to share it with the world, and you're happy to pour it out over people, and give of the gift, give of that uniqueness that is inside of you. And when we operate in that sense, there's a confidence that flows, and I keep on going back to creativity, but creativity is locked in value. So the more you unlock your value, the more you start to unlock that creativity, because you are trusting yourself enough to give it a go. You're trusting yourself enough to try something, to step out of the box, to do something new. But if it fails, it's not a reflection of you. It doesn't hit you. It doesn't actually mess your value up, in a sense, because your value comes from deep inside of you, and who you are is where you get your growth, not what you achieve. And so when you're operating out of a sense of who you are, it doesn't matter the failure limit in an organization, which is a wonderful thing, because when we dare to fail, we succeed even more. There's this risk factor that takes place, and then we start to see real change. And especially in the entrepreneurial world, as women, as entrepreneurs, we have to be in that place where we're willing to take risk. We're seeing opportunity, we're jumping into the opportunity, we're chasing after it. But if there's a lack of value, we self-doubt, we give up quickly. We think maybe somebody else should do this. Maybe somebody else should walk there. This is not for me. And we end up falling behind. And so I think when women value themselves, it's like watch out world. When they truly not put on a picture of what they should look like, but when they bring who they are, when they bring the creativity and the image that they've been created in, and the skill set, they bless the world. They give into the world. And you can see I get so excited about this. Then we see people come alive. Then we see not only work being done, but communities impacted, because passion is behind there. We see families being changed, because there's a confident woman in the home that gives room for others to rise up, and others to shine, and others to find what they're good at. And I think that's the power of us as women, is we naturally nurturing. And when we're confident, and we know what we carry, we make room for other people to shine. And how awesome is that in business? Because they don't have one lead. You've got many, many being equipped, many being empowered to step into who they are, and to carry that sense of value.
So, Kerry, what's good to know is that we understand the power of understanding one's value. We also understand the power of the value of bringing confidence into the workplace. Can we take it a step back and look at how does one move from a place of not having that sense of self-worth and not having confidence into the space that you're talking about, or into this frame of mind that you're referring to? Because I know that in our kind of dealings with many, many women, is that one of the issues they face is lack of self-confidence. So how do you move from a place of lack of self-confidence towards this place?
And that's a great question. And I think that's why I started YOUnique Life. It is my heart to see women completely empowered to step into that confident place of and self-worth. So I think there's elements to it, and it's not just a one singular answer. There's facets to growing in value. And I think you never arrive. As you go through life, there's different stages. I remember when I had kids for the first time, and then suddenly it was like, how am I going to do this? Where does, you've got to go back to the drawing board and in different stages of life and look at the value. So first of all, it's a journey. And when we have journey mindset on, I'm in this life to discover the wonder of why I'm here, the destiny of why I'm here. I'm in this life on a journey, and not have an achievement mindset. That's the first thing. Because when we have an achievement mindset, we are going to kind of compare ourselves to the things around us. We are going to set standards that sometimes are not attainable. And there's a negative dynamic that comes with this achievable mindset. So the first step is really choosing to embrace who you are and going on a journey and discovering the nuances, the different facets that are inside of you. Number one. The second one is a lot of the time, and sorry, there's a little bit more psychology side, but a lot of the time, a lack of self-worth comes from when we have not done well, or we have not been built up well at a younger age, or we've gone through something traumatic. And so a good start is to maybe just stop and think about, what are the things that trigger me, that make me feel unworthy? What are the situations that actually make me feel like I'm not coping? When we can identify those, we can go back to the root. Because remember, your behavior today is not a signal of who you are. Your behavior is often rooted in past hurt or past trauma. And so when you can go, oh, when I walk into a new office for the first time, I get anxiety and I can hardly breathe, and I change 10 times before I get onto, the call or get into the office, and I feel insecure. Hang on. Where did that start? Did that start at teenage years? Did that start much younger? And then you start to unlock, or you start to unpack why that took place, and deal with those emotions. And the more we deal with those emotions, the more confidence comes in, the more security comes in, because it was a moment in time. It's not who you are. And if it's left unlooked at, it becomes who we are. And that's moments, trauma moments, somebody shouting at somebody. I once saw somebody who thought their mother never loved them because her mom gave her brother a bigger piece of cake on his birthday. And for the next 15 years, she thought she was not good enough. And when we could identify that was the first lie, that was the first thought, she was able to go, wow, what a silly 8-year-old thought to have. And we managed to unlock a lot of the things. So second point is, one, you're going on a journey. Second, to try and have a look at what triggers you, and to go back to the old triggers. Very, very important. And then we've actually got a worksheet. I don't know how we're going to get it to you. That's Kate's job, the technical job. But I've got a worksheet that I've pulled off one of our courses, is to sit down and to write, who are you? What do you like? What excites you? Often we can read self-help books, and I'm not knocking the self-help books, please, not at all. But we can take what somebody else has perceived as valuable and put it on ourselves because we've read it in a book. And actually, the value starts with you. Your definition of value starts with you. What you believe in, how you've been raised, your worldview, that'll all create a sense of value. And so I think, no problem. I think the thing is to really sit and to think about, what is my definition of value? What is my standard of value? How do I fit into that? And so you can download one of those worksheets. I'm sure we can work it out how, and go through that. I hope that answered. I know there was a big answer, but
no, I think it's a really powerful answer. And what you really touched on was how an incident can become your reality.
Yeah.
And one needs to recognize incidents in one's life in the past that becomes one's reality, which then builds into a lack of self-confidence in future. And I think that's really powerful. We're talking a lot. This International Women's Day has just passed on the 8th of March. We've been talking about knock the bias. Just this bias, this unconscious bias that so many male-centric environments have towards women, and just how in that environment we've got to fight those biases that have come up against us, consciously or subconsciously, on both sides. And when you know your self-worth, it just gives you the confidence to do that. So, you've touched on this, but so is it just introspection that one needs to be able to find your unique value, and therefore thrive in your purpose at work? Is that your main tool that one has when one is trying to find one's worth and purpose in the workplace?
I think it's one of many tools. And again, we are all unique. So how we'll go about it might be slightly different and unique. Having a community of women is so important. And having community of like-minded women. In fact, today I have a friend who I had a work thing happen. And for a second there, I doubted myself. I panicked a little bit. And so I picked up the phone and I phoned her and I was like, can you just talk me through this? This is what took place. And she was like, oh, you're being so silly. Get over yourself. And we chatted. And I think that there's that place of community. There's that place of building relationships with women that are on the same journey, not trying to achieve, kind of value, but on the same journey of going, we're doing life together. We want to be the best versions of ourselves. We want to praise and encourage each other to step into that. And there's such value in finding these pockets. And that's why I said to you when we were on our first initial meet, I so honor what you're doing, because women right now, it just also with the pandemic and where we've been operating in the last 2 years, to have a place of community where like-minded women can come and feel safe and feel secure and talk about the same things, that also builds self-worth. As well as when I say, sure, I'm struggling with this, and the lady next to me goes, yes, I'm also struggling with this, it takes that weight off my shoulders. I'm like, oh, I'm normal, fantastic, I'm not crazy. And that value, I mean, the community is so valuable in validating our value and our worth and communication, because us as women are verbal processors generally, and that communication space is also important. So it's introspective as well as surrounding yourself with like-minded people.
Yeah, and I think that's the power that we've got as well at RecruitMyMom is that we have an entire ecosystem of working mothers who get that we get the struggle of being a mom and wanting to have a career and how one juggles all of this, and just reminding them of their worth to employers. I think that's, so you're just reinforcing why we started what we did start. So thank you, Kerry. It's nice for me to be reminded all the time what the reason why we exist. Kerry, if you had to give any advice to some of the ladies that have joined us, I'm sure there might be some men that have joined us, just post-pandemic. So some people have been retrenched. Some people have got partners, husbands, wives that have been retrenched. Some people have been out of work for a really long time, and it's not an easy economic environment, and they have to keep deep.
Broke up.
Sorry. They have to dig deep every time they go. They have to go dig deep every time they need to pitch up at an interview. So how do you, what would your advice be, just in our closing statements for today?
Thanks for putting me on the spot. No, I think, to sit here on a call and to give advice is easy, but to first of all, I just want to say we've been through that as a family. So pandemic hit us hard, and so I'm not just talking from a place of, this is a good idea. I'm talking from a place of, guys, this is some of the things that I had to do, because there were days that it was really, really, really tough, and it might sound funny, but the thing I remind myself is, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. And that's what I had to do. I had to do one day at a time. I couldn't plan ahead. I couldn't be in my mind, because if I started to plan ahead, I started to run into that place of what if, and it takes you into anxiety, and it takes you down into depression, and you start to move in the space of being unworthy, like completely just the unworth falls upon you. And so first of all, to surround yourself with family and friends who can encourage you and remind you of your worth. And often in a lot of our cultures within South Africa, when we talk about worth, when we talk about what we're good at, we can label it as prideful. But I think there's a healthy level of saying, this is what I'm good at. When I walk into the room, I change the atmosphere because I bring in energy. When I do, and to start to verbalize the things that we do so that we can celebrate the things we do. So the first thing was surround yourself with friends and family who can call out your worth, and can speak into you and can declare what you carry and who you are, because that verbal hearing from others is very important. And then the second thing is take step by step, day by day, and slowly just what is in front of you, do it to the best of your ability. When you walk into an interview, just give enough for that interview. Don't worry about tomorrow. Don't worry about the next interview. Don't worry about what if, but you really just embrace the moment and live in the moment. And then sometimes, and I know this, sorry, I'm going to be a little bit, but sometimes these pockets where we haven't had work are actually times for us to rest. And we need to rest so that we can run hard later on. And I found that in my rest season, I try to do so much to work and to try and get things going. And I almost missed the season of rest. But when I realized, hang on, there's no more I can do. I've done absolutely everything humanly possible at this point. I can't do anything else. I'm now going to rest. Whatever that looks like for you. For me, it's running and doing something else and painting. I'm going to take the time to do that. And I almost recuperated and rejuvenated in those seasons and pockets of rest. And so it can be a manic season, but make sure you prioritize self-care and that season of rest. Yeah, that would be my advice.
I think that's brilliant. In the middle of the pandemic, you can imagine what happened to the recruitment industry is that as a team, we were generating so much activity. Mm-hmm. And the best advice I got at the time was, when you're in a riptide, what's the best thing you could do? And the best thing you can do when you're in a riptide is to float.
Yes.
And to not fight against the riptide. And I think that's exactly what you're saying, is that when you find yourself in a riptide, is what do you need to do to just float in order to get through the riptide, because at some stage it's going to spit you out, and we know that. So I think that's really great. Kerry, thank you so much for joining me today. It's always so lovely to chat to you. You bring such a positive energy. I'm sure that people joined us today are feeling better about themselves.
I hope
I think together today we wanted to remind women of their worth, the value that they bring, that nobody's hopeless. Everybody can work on their confidence and their self-worth. And thank you for giving us some tools today on how to do that. So I just want to honor you. I want to thank you. It's always a joy to speak to you, and have a wonderful, wonderful weekend.
Thank you. And thank you so much for having me. It's been wonderful.
No, pleasure. And to all those that joined us today, to join Kerry and I, we really grateful that you're able to have joined us. And Kerry, just so that if you guys want to follow Kerry, she's at YOUnique Life SA. It's YOUnique Life SA, if you want to follow Kerry on Instagram. So have a wonderful day, ladies. Take care.
Thank you. Bye, everybody.
Bye. Bye-bye, everyone.